Okay, in this video I'm going to explain how we get to Stokes' theorem by building on Green's theorem. So let's recall what Green's theorem tells us. Green's theorem allows us to evaluate, and we'll look actually only at the circulation form. So the circulation form of Green's theorem tells us that if we have a closed oriented curve and we are evaluating the circulation of a vector field along that curve, that this can be done also by evaluating the curl within the enclosed region. And so we write that as partial of q with respect to x over minus partial of p with respect to y in the area, within the area, right? And we called this the curl of our field F. This also means a localized circulation. So we can also think of this as circulation density or per unit area. And when we add up circulation per unit area over a region that has area, then we get the circulation on the boundary. And so here C is the boundary curve that's oriented. And we oriented positively, which means we oriented in the counterclockwise direction. So all of this takes place in R2, right? This is an R2 on the XY plane. So we find that, if our curve is on the XY plane, so we have some region that the curve encloses, and we learned that, well, first, the reason the curve is oriented positively is because we calculate the localized swirling in the counterclockwise direction. So we want the curve to point in the same direction as the curl that we add up on the inside. And another reminder about the curl that we explored is that the curl is actually a little normal vector that gives us that direction of the swirl. So when we're on the XY plane, the curl is a vector that points in the positive, in the direction of positive z. So we did this, by the way, by breaking up our region into rectangles and measuring the circulation of a very tiny, tiny rectangle, and that resulted in the expression that gives us the curl, so in this expression. So we derived Green's theorem about a week and a half ago, and the circulation form of Green's theorem, of which Stokes is, well, Green's is a special circumstance of Stokes' theorem. So again, on the XY plane, now we're going to work on the right-hand side of our expression of Green's theorem. So the way that we're going to work on that is, I want you to recall our idea of curl, right? Curl, when we have of a vector field in R2, is a normal vector, so normal to the plane. So it only has a k component, a z component, and it's when we turn in the counterclockwise direction, the normal points towards positive z-axis, and when the curl is in the clockwise direction, it points towards the negative z-axis, which is why direction matters here. And the magnitude of the vector that points up or down has to do with the angular velocity of the rotation of the curl. So where does this come from, right? This curl, we're not going to derive it again, but we can express this in a slightly different way. We can think of it as, well, if we're thinking of this as, let's imagine that we jump to R3, and we know that this is actually the component of the vector of the normal vector, right? It's a component of the normal vector. So we're going to think of this expression as the dot product between a vector that points either up or down, that looks like this, dotted with k, 0, 0, 1, right? This is our k unit vector. When we do this dot product, notice what we get, right? We multiply 0 times 0 is 0, 0 times 0 is 0, and we get this thing that we're using for our 2D curl. So this gives us a little better way of seeing that it's simply the k component of a three-dimensional vector, the z component of a three-dimensional vector. So we could write the right-hand side of Green's theorem as, let's rewrite Green's theorem as follows. We're still looking for circulation around a curve of our vector field dot dr, which means we're measuring how much of the field points in the direction of the curve. So we dot product it with the tangent. And we're going to rewrite the right-hand side by writing, okay, this is still a double integral. I'm adding up all these localized circulations around the region, inside the region. But I'm going to write this as curl, which is, we know, del cross f. That's a three-dimensional vector. And we're dotting that with k, so that this gives us the curl in R2. And so this is another way in which we might write Green's theorem, where, just as a reminder, this expression del cross f is the curl in R3, the curl of f. Okay, so idea of what this tells us is that if I add up all of the localized circulations inside my region, that really tells me what's going on the boundary. How the vector field behaves on the boundary can be explored by the net localized circulation density in the inside of the region. Okay, what does Stokes' theorem do? Well, Stokes' theorem lifts this up to R3. So this time, we are going to imagine that we have a surface in R3. Oops, not the eraser. So I'll just draw. Okay. Well, I'm just going to give you the idea today and state in this video, and we'll state the theorem. But let's imagine we have some surface. This is an R3, right? This is a surface in space. And the boundary of the surface is oriented in this direction. I'm not going to call it counterclockwise yet. I'll just call it a positive direction for now. And, well, we can do exactly the same thing, right? That Green's theorem would apply, except we've lifted everything up. So the curl on the inside, maybe at this point, might point that way, the little normal, but then at this point, that curl might point that way, and maybe at this point, so this curl could, the normal of these little curls could point in different directions on the inside. Whereas in Green's theorem, the normal, because we're on the xy plane, the normal always points either towards positive z or negative z. So what we need to do with Stokes' theorem is we have to figure out, the same thing's going to happen, right? We're going to have a curve on the boundary, right? The curve is closed, and it encloses a region in R3, but we need to have a way to measure the curl on the inside. And so rather than doing a dot product of the curl with just the vector k, we're going to take a dot product of the curl of the vector field with a normal on the surface. And what does that mean? Well, it means, imagine that my normal at this point points this way. Maybe that's my normal. I want to know how much of the curl is on the surface. To know how much of the curl is on the surface, I want to isolate the component of the curl that points in the direction of n, and that's what I want to add up, because that's going to give me the rotation that happens on the surface. So dotting this with n means that we're looking for the component of the curl that is on the surface enclosed by our curve C. So the idea will be the same, that we can measure the circulation of a vector field, right? Imagine that these little blue vectors are part of my vector field. We can measure the circulation around the boundary of a region in R3 by adding up all of the curl inside the region, inside the enclosed region. So let's try to write that, and then we'll just discuss a few of the conditions that we'll need, and then in the next video we'll talk about how do we make sense of all of these conditions. So let's think about this. Stokes' theorem will say the following, right? We're just lifting up Green's theorem, and we have the following. We're still evaluating the circulation integral around a closed curve, but now the curve could be in R3, right? Anywhere. It doesn't have to be on the xy plane. And so this is the circulation line integral. And Stokes' theorem tells us that this will be the same as the curl on the inside of our region enclosed by the boundary curve. But so this is going to be over our surface. Instead of having a region on the xy plane, now we have a surface in space. And we take the curl of the vector field that points in the direction of a normal to each point on in our region, on our surface, because we want the component of the curl that's on the surface, so that points in the direction of the surface. So similar as for Green's theorem, we've got here, this is circulation on the boundary of the curve. And the curve is closed. And it's the boundary of a region. This expression is the component of the curl on our surface. And so this measures circulation density, as we did with Green's theorem. And here we have a surface integral because we're integrating over a surface in R3. Now, some of the things that we need for this theorem to hold. So I'm just going to box it because this is our theorem. But let's talk about, I'm just going to discuss quickly a few things that we need, and then we'll make more sense of orientation in the next video. So things that we need for this to hold. One, we need that the components of f have continuous partial derivatives. Because in order to calculate the curl, we need partial derivatives. So continuous partial derivatives, which means that our surface is piecewise smooth. We need C, our curve, to be simple, so not self-intersecting, and closed. And we need the orientation of C and S to be compatibly oriented. This I will discuss in the next video, but just a quick overview of what that means. Remember that we orient C in Green's by going in the counterclockwise direction, or at least in the direction where the region's pointing to the left. If we hold our arm out, our left arm out, we touch the region. So we'll have to think about how do we orient C so that it's oriented in a way that's consistent with the normals on our surface. So we will discuss that next, and I'll leave you here with Stokes' theorem, an extension of Green's when we lift Green's theorem when we're discussing a enclosed surface where the curve is the boundary of a surface in R3, right? So this is an R3 theorem.